Welcome back to another team preview. I'm Casey Campbell from the Chair of Knowledge, and we're joined by Mr. Knowledge himself, Jonathan Fjeld from the Racing Experts. He's full of stats, people.
Full of stats.
Today we're going to be talking about Kaulig, getting ready for the upcoming season. How's it going? Let's see. What do we expect from Kaulig Racing this year? A lot of big storylines from them.
There are a lot of big storylines, and you know that the men and women of Kaulig Racing are preparing a lot. It's only 28 days until the Daytona 500, 14 days until the Clash. It's close. It's very, very close.
Yeah, it's going to be here before you know it. That's why I'm trying to get all these previews done. All right, let's talk about Kaulig for a second. A lot of changes. This is their kind of their first full year in the Cup Series. Chris Rice has said over the years, we're going to go Cup racing, and now they're finally going Cup racing. They're with two cars. Justin Haley is going full-time. Let's discuss him for a second. He's won in the Cup Series, yes, in 2019 for Spire at Daytona. But how do we expect him to do in his first full-time Cup Series? Yes, he ran full-time, really kind of mostly all the Cup races last year for Spire, but now he's running for Kaulig and for a championship.
Yeah, he got his feet wet last season with Spire running that number 77. I think this season we could probably see Justin Haley having a really solid rookie season. I think somewhat of what we saw with Ross Chastain, very solid finishes, consistent, might not be a playoff berth or even contend for wins, but I think Justin Haley will be a solid driver this season. Plus Kaulig, you know that they have good equipment. We saw that last season of how AJ Allmendinger was able to win at Indianapolis, and they had some other good runs. I think Justin Haley will have a pretty solid season. I would say 19th, 20th in points, a few top 10 finishes, some solid runs out of that team.
I think that's what we're going to see out of that 31 team. Trent Owens comes over as the crew chief for that team. Of course, was with Ryan Preece last year, so he jumps over there. But then they're going to have the all-star car featuring Allmendinger, Daniel Hamrick, and Noah Gragson. Three drivers that are going to expect to that Kaulig car is going to contend for wins.
Stacked. That's a name for it, because you have Noah Gragson, of course, running 14 races. You have AJ running the road courses. We're expected to hear that he's going to run the road courses and possibly some super speedway races. Noah Gregson's going to run, of course, the 14 races I mentioned. Daniel Hemrick's run the Daytona 500. I think we're going to see some good finishes out of that car. There's a lot of experience. There's a lot of brash youth in the form of Noah Gragson, as we've seen. He can get into it a little bit and make some aggressive moves, and of course that's what you need to be in the Cup Series. So I think it's great that he's getting his feet wet in it, and I'm excited. I think they could even play a little spoiler in the owner championship playoffs as well, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about that. The championship with the Cup operation. This is their first full year with two cars in there. Mm-hmm. How is that going to work out? And where do you see that kind of going with the Cup operation?
I think there will be some growing pains, but less so with the next generation car, because everybody's on the same level. The multi-car teams are trying to figure out how to run a multi-car operation with the way the parts are distributed, the way things are with this new car. I think there will be some growing pains, because the Cup Series is the Cup Series, but I think Kaulig Racing will catch on quicker than if they decided to do this, let's say last year or so, where you had all these different teams caught up in, stacks upon stacks of notes in the Gen 6 car. This is going to be a good time for them. I think we're going to see fullest potential that they're ever going to have making this move.
Absolutely. So let's talk about their Xfinity program for a second here. That program is going to be expected to win a lot of races and maybe not contend, but win the championship, because they got three talented drivers in their roster. Let's talk about AJ Allmendinger first, the guy that made the championship for and really kind of resurrected his career in NASCAR a little bit.
Huge.
With the season that he had last year.
Yeah, I mean, a great season, multiple wins. I came up short at Phoenix, but had a really strong second half of the year. We saw some great performances at Michigan and Bristol and other places, where we didn't really expect him to be the front runner. We expected him to run near the front, but we expected, the likes of Austin Cindric or Daniel Hamrick to more so take command. But AJ really took off in the second half of the year. And now with Hamrick as his teammate and Cindric up in the Cup Series, I think this could be AJ's year. Of course, another thing we're expecting is Ty Gibbs will run the Xfinity Series full time. Haven't heard anything official yet. We can expect it. And that's going to be a big thing for AJ. I think he and Ty, if he runs full time, we'll just run with that assumption for this little bit. He and Ty are going to be the ones to beat throughout this whole season. I think Hamrick will be right up there too. I think he'll play the same role that he did last season, where he had the speed, he was right up front, he would dominate a couple races. Didn't always get the wins, but he was always there. So I kind of jumped ahead a little bit, but I think AJ is going to be a prime contender for the championship this year.
Yes, he will be. Let's talk about the contender for the championship to the champion from last year, Daniel Hamrick. Of course, we all knew before the season ended last year that he was going to go to Kaulig Racing from Joe Gibbs Racing, and then goes and wins the championship as leaving the team. So, what do we expect from Daniel Hamrick now that he has a championship, has a win? Then he can. What do we expect from that 11 team?
Mojo. Lots of mojo, momentum. When in sports, the big thing is momentum and having confidence. And I mean, we've seen it with guys like Joey Logano. We've seen it with guys like Matt Kenseth. When they get in that right environment, they get that chance to break through. They really break through. I think the same thing goes with Hamrick. We saw him finish runner-up dozen times, have a bunch of heartbreaks, getting wrecked by his own teammate who was trying to help him win, different things like that. And then to finally win and then have that win be for a championship in the last turn, the last second of the race, that's huge. I think that's going to continue into this season. I think Hamrick knows it's not like he didn't know how to win before, but especially now, he knows how to win. He knows how to break through, get the job done, and that's going to go a long ways this season. I expect Hamrick to get at least 2 or 3 wins, non-super speedway wins. Could be more on the super speedways. Kaulig is killer on the super speedways.
Yes, they are. Let's talk about the biggest story from Kaulig. One of the biggest stories of the offseason and the biggest surprises of the offseason. Landon Castle is going to Kaulig Racing. Of course, someone that has been in NASCAR for a very long time, driving for a lot of teams. Finally going to get his shot to see if he can really do this.
We never like to take sides in journalism and NASCAR, but come on, you got to drop that a little bit. This is awesome for Landon Castle. He's been doing this ever since 2008, and before that a little bit when he was with JRM as a development driver, and he's gone through different start and park rides, some different, low budget teams that are giving it their all, but, the budget just doesn't warrant performance. And now he's finally getting that chance to break through. I think back to when he ran for Morgan Shepherd back in 2019, had some awesome qualifying runs, had a good run at Homestead, fell back later in the race because of some different things that happened, but he had top 10 speed, really strong with a Morgan Shepherd car. Of course, no shade against Morgan Shepherd. He'll be the first one to tell you they don't always have the budget to run up front, but they had some strong performances, and I think it really shows what Landon can do. It's going to be a fun season, and the sponsorship is really interesting what they got for the season too.
Voyager, of course, that's cryptocurrency, which I have no idea what that's about. Cryptocurrency, NFTs, all that. Someone will.
Casey is essentially a boomer when it comes to that.
That's exactly one way to put it, John. You're going to expect this all year long on the preview show, by the way. So, and then also you got the whole Kaulig organization. What do you expect from their Xfinity team first off, and then from their Cup team, or if you want to go the other way around?
No matter how they do, Kaulig's gonna have a lot of fun. They're the most, I would say, no shade on the other teams, but they're the most fun team in NASCAR. And I love hearing Chris Rice talk and Matt Kaulig talk and AJ calling Justin Haley his son at one point last season. It's all fun and games. And I think there's going to be performance to back that up, too. I think AJ and Hamrick are going to be class of the Xfinity field. I think once Landon Castle finds his footing, I think he'll be right up there with them, too. Cup Series, I think on the super speedways, those two are going to work together well, but it's a much different ball game than the Cup Series. Or the Cup Series is a much different ball game than the Xfinity Series. Because you have guys like the Gibbs guys, the Hendrick guys, the Penske guys, who are such well-oiled machines that work together on the super speedways, that it's not going to be the same as creating a 3-wide photo finish at a Daytona race, in the Xfinity Series. It's going to be a little tougher. I think we'll see some growing pains for that team. But I think AJ will do really well for them on the road courses if he does run the road course races, and I think we'll see some flashes of performance from the team. I don't expect anything too big, but I think flashes from the team, and also owner championship spoiler possibly.
Yeah, that could be something to watch as we get towards later in the season.
It could be.
We're gonna be paying attention a lot to Kaulig though. All right, That's going to do it for another team preview. That's Jonathan Fjeld. I'm Casey Campbell. Stay tuned for more team previews as we get closer to the NASCAR season.